Yeah, so, all right. So, U.S. All right. The Asian Society and the U.S. Council of State School Officers specify global competence as the core capacity students need for the, so can we go down small? Yes. Yes, for the 21st century, and define it as the capacity and disposition to understand and act on issues of global significance. So if your learners are in Ghana, Zambia, Gambia, wherever, we have certain standards they are supposed to meet. So as we learn, I always tell you, compare yourself or assess yourself, make an assessment of your own self as well as your learners, whether they meet the standards we are talking about here. You are a learner, you are a teacher, and we are saying that a 21st century teacher should also meet these same standards. And in the same vein, 21st century learners should also meet the same standards. So according to the US State Council of Schools, if you are a 21st century teacher, then you should meet the following standards. And the following standards are 1 to 4 over here, as stated by the US Council of Schools. Now, 1, investigate the world beyond their immediate environment. Every 21st century teacher is somebody who is able to investigate the world beyond their immediate environment. If I should ask you right now, what is happening in Russia? What is happening in Ukraine? What is happening in South Africa? What is happening in Gambia? You should be able to tell me what is happening over there. What it means is that a 21st century teacher is not somebody who only thinks about his or her society, maybe Ghana. So anything beyond his or her environment, anything beyond his or her country, he or she doesn't know anything about. That person is not a 21st century teacher. So a 21st century teacher is the one who is global. Because the 21st century teacher, we are talking about the skills and all that. When you go to US, when you go to Canada, when you go to South Africa, wherever you go to, the same skills, wherever you go to, all over the world. If we talk about skills that 21st century teachers possess, the same skills we are learning today. When you go to US, the skills are the same. When you go to Canada, the skills are the same. Wherever you go to, all over the world, these are the same skills. If you go to YouTube, I would want you to go to YouTube. Then you search for 21st century skills or whatever, and the rest, you see them there. Wherever you go, you can make a lot of research all over the world. So what we are saying is that if you can become a 21st century teacher, then you should be somebody who can investigate the world beyond your immediate environment. Then 2, recognize perspectives and that of others is very important. You are able to understand, okay, this person is talking in this context. Oh, okay, this is somebody's view. Okay, my view is different from somebody's view. My opinion is different from somebody's opinion. You should be able to recognize the opinions of others and understand the opinions of others. You should be able to understand where people are coming from. I'm not talking about their hometowns. I'm talking about, the angle from which they speak. You should be able to understand the different views held by people. Then the next one is communicate ideas effectively with diverse audiences. So you meet management of your school, you are able to know how to communicate with them. When you meet your learners, oh, I've met my learners, so I have to use this method to communicate with them. Oh, I have met parents or guardians. Oh, because they are parents, I have to use this approach in talking to them. That is what we mean. Somebody who is able to do this is a 21st century teacher. Then the last one is take action to improve conditions. Like One of us rightly said, you use the old chalkboard, the concrete one. Then you have been able to identify that poses challenges to learners, and even you, the teacher. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to take action to improve that condition. So we have teachers who, I don't want to say sitting on time bombs, but where they are teaching, there are so many problems, so many challenges. What are you doing to improve upon those challenges? That is the question you need to ask yourself. Every 21st century teacher is able to identify challenges and be able to solve them. Remember, we talked about your ability to solve problems. Earlier, when we were talking about the categories of 21st century skills, we talked about your ability to solve problems. So it is rightly, that is what has been rightly put over here. You should be someone who can solve problems. So if we're a 21st century teacher, you should be able to take action to improve upon conditions. All right. Any question up to this far?
Yes, please. You made mention the fourth point, which is take action to improve. I wanted to see the last comment, but it seems it has been covered. Assuming you are since some of us are in the private sectors, and you want to implement certain changes, and the management does not permit you or does not want to grant you, what do you do in situations like this? Do you leave it like that? Because these are some of the challenges we are facing as in a private institution.
All right. Thank you so much for this brilliant question. In fact, I was anticipating that somebody will ask this question. In the private sector, it's a challenge. You know, we are living in Africa, and this part of the world, those who uphold the truth are always persecuted. So if we're a teacher, for example, an instance where the kind of meal prepared for the learners is not good at all. You are a teacher and you sympathize or empathize with your learners.
Yes.
What do? You know, these are some of the situations we are confronted with on a daily basis. You can't say anything about that because when you talk about it, you are in trouble. It means you are against management, you are against the, yes, you see, these are some of the issues. But we have principled people who don't care even when their jobs are on the line.
Yes.
But you definitely have few of these people, because the person also wants to make ends meet. You have to keep quiet and look on. But we have very few people who are principled, and even if it will cost them their jobs, they don't care. They will make sure that the right thing is being done. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please. Well,
so it's all about your ability to be firm, speak the truth, stand with the truth, and even if it will cost you your job, you know that you have done the right thing. But it is not easy. It is not easy. We have to be sincere. You know, I'm giving you one instance. Many years ago, I was teaching a certain school, and the proprietress was always favoring students who were always paying their fees.
Okay.
And the proprietress will tell you that for this child, don't cane the child, don't punish the child, because the parent or the father has been paying her school fees promptly. Now, this child was also a lazy student.
Wow.
And she will not learn, she will not do her homework and all that. And when she comes to school and you punish that girl, the girl will go and report the teacher to the management, and management will be on you, because the parents have money and they are always, they always pay her fees promptly. First week of the term, the fees will be paid. So because of that, that child was always protected by management, even when she goes wrong. And what happened was that this lady failed my subject, and I failed her. The proprietress didn't understand why I failed her. And I also brought a proof. I gave her all the proof I had, that if you look at the standard of this lady, if I should, my colleague teachers were always giving this lady the pass mark. So the learner or that lady will score 85%, 90%. Meanwhile, it was fake scores. But I just said, no, I'm measuring the lady, the standard of the lady. I will not allow this lady, or I will not help her to fail in the future. Because if I should manufacture masks for her continuously, she will not be able to realize that she is not performing. And she will go on with the same behavior up to Form 3. ECE, she will be laughing at the wrong side of her mouth. So because of that, I was not in sync. I was not, doing the same thing my colleagues were doing. And just because of that, the proprietor said, hey, then it means you are not in line with my objectives and the rest, and you want to challenge management. And then because of that, because of some of these issues, I didn't have a good name in the school. And one day, the proprietor said, oh, I cannot work with you again. I said, okay, no problem. I was just laughing. I was, because a clear mind doesn't fear any accusation.
Exactly.
I know I have done the right thing. So when the proprietress called me to the office and gave me a letter, I knew what the letter, the envelope contained. I predicted that it was just a dismissal letter, but I knew I didn't do anything wrong. I stood firm, and I just stood by the truth. So I didn't. The next day, other opportunities were just coming from all angles. You see, so one thing is that in this part of the world, those who stand firm and speak the truth are always victimized. That is the truth. So it is not easy to speak the truth in Africa. It is not easy at all to stand firm and be principled in this part of the world. But we have people who are able to do it. So to become a 21st century teacher, one of the requirements is that you should take actions to improve conditions.
Okay.
Yes, so it is up to us to choose that path.
Right.
All right. Any other question?
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome, sir. Any question? All right. Okay, let's carry on. All right. It seems we have gone back. We are still at what are 21st century skills. Okay, so can we go up small? All right. All right. So 21st century skills are repeating over here. So another explanation of 21st century skills, we are saying that 21st century skills refer to the knowledge, life skills, career skills, habits, and traits that are critically important to student success in today's global, digital, knowledge-driven world, particularly as students move on to college, the workforce, and adult life. So when we talk about 21st century skills, we are basically talking about the skills, the knowledge, the career skills, the habits, the traits, and all that are very critical to the success of our learners. You know, our learners are going to compete with people who may be outside the world. For instance, the learners you are training today, in the near future, they may find themselves in universities outside Ghana. It can happen. It's possible. When they go there, they should be able to compete. So we should prepare them. We should inculcate in them 21st century skills that will help them to compete globally, because we are in a digital world. We are in a knowledge-driven world, a world that is driven by knowledge. So that is all about 21st century skills. I believe we have talked about 21st century skills enough. And here we still have some of the skills. They are almost the same as what we have already talked about: critical thinking, creativity and innovativeness, collaboration, communication, information literacy, media literacy. Now with media literacy, you know, we have to encourage them to watch the news from TV stations and all that. Just that we have to guide them so that, you know, you can also talk to their parents. They are at home with them, so that they also guide them, so that they don't watch romantic movies and the rest that will not have any positive impact on their learning. Then technology or digital literacy, we have talked about that. You have to be adaptable. We talked about that. Or flexible. Leadership. As a teacher, you should show leadership. You should be in charge of your class. You should show leadership at all times. Then the next one is initiative. We have talked about it already. You should be a teacher who is productive. You don't have to be lazy and loitering about. You have to be productive. You should also be socially fit. What that means is that you have social skills, how to relate with others. That is what that means. Then you should be able to solve problems. We have talked about that. Then perseverance. Yes, you should be determined. Whatever you do, you have to be committed to any task that you are assigned to. All right. I hope we can carry on. Then the next one is global awareness. We talked about it. Global awareness, self-direction. You should be able to coach your own self before you can go and coach your learners. You should be able to direct your own life. You should be able to direct your own self towards the achievement of your goals. The next one is civic literacy. We came across that. That's citizenship. You should be able to, you should be a responsible citizen yourself, so that you also be able to train your learners to also become responsible citizens. So civic responsibilities as a citizen, your duties and responsibilities as a citizen, you should be aware of those ones and perform them. Then social responsibility, we talked about that earlier. That has to do with the responsibilities you have, you know, in your society. You have to be socially responsible. Then the next one is innovation. We have talked about it several times. Then thinking skills, that's creativity, critical thinking, entrepreneurship. We've talked about all these things. Any question before we carry on? All right, let's carry on.
we have come to why do students need 21st century skills? And you yourself should also ask yourself as a teacher, why do I also need 21st century skills? It is very important. You and your learners need 21st century skills because, one, computers and machines can cost effectively do the sort of jobs that people with only routine knowledge and skills can do. So the workplace thus needs fewer people with only basic skill sets and more people with higher order thinking skills. So one, when we're talking about 21st century skills, you remember, we talked about creativity. That is what we mean by higher order thinking skills. When we're talking about 21st century skills, we talked about critical thinking. So you need 21st century skills because at the various workplaces, they now need people who can think critically to solve problems. So if you don't learn these skills, you will not be able to fit into the world of work. You also need 21st century skills because today, machines, computers are doing the sort of jobs that otherwise would have been done by human beings. So as part of 21st century skills, you remember we talked about literacy, digital skills, computer skills, and so forth and so on, ICT. You remember? Yes. So you need these skills so that you also become highly competitive. Somebody who can also, when they need people with IT skills, you are there. You can also have a job. Otherwise, if you don't have these skills, you can't get jobs these days. So that is about point one. Point two, supply and demand in a global rather than national or local marketplace increases competition. So simply put, all that we are talking about is that 21st century skills, you need 21st century skills so that you'll be able to compete in the world of work globally. The next one is students also need to learn how and why to be engaged citizens who think critically so that they can, for example, analyze news items, identify biases, and vote in an educated way. So when we're talking about 21st century skills, you remember we're talking about civic responsibilities. We talked about the fact that you should be able to analyze issues and all that. So students, yourself as a teacher and your learners, both need 21st century skills to help you to be able to analyze issues, to help you to be able to be fair, not biased. And it will also help you to vote in an educated way. Today, politicians come and lie to us and we follow them and we vote for them. When they come, they don't do what they promise to do. But if you are a 21st century person, you will be able to analyze every issue and be able to vote in an educated way. You will not just vote because somebody has lied to you that when he's voted for and he comes and forms government, he or she will give you this, buy a car for you and the rest, and you follow that politician. But if you're a 21st century teacher or person, a 21st century person or teacher who has all the 21st century skills, you will be informed and analyze the issues the politicians will put forward and be able to vote in an educated way. The next one is globalization makes it even more urgent for students around the world to learn how to communicate. You understand? So now we are communicating. We are using Zoom. You see, this is global. All over the world, people use Zoom. People use Google Meet and the rest. So 21st century teacher, as a 21st century teacher, you are supposed to understand globalization so that at all times, you and your learners should understand globalization so that you'll be able to, because with 21st century skills, we have communication, we have collaboration, we have problem solving, and all that. So once you have these skills as a 21st century teacher, you'll be able to compete globally. That is all that we are talking about. Then the next one is increasing digitalization of economies requires people with the requisite ICT skills. So it's all about the skills. You know, as part of the skills, when we're talking about the skills, we talked about ICT skills. And now everything is digitalized. Everything is digitalized. Go online, go and do this, go online, send email, do that. Everything is hinging because of digitalization everywhere, all over the world. So it is important you learn these skills, 21st century skills, in order that you also become a 21st century person. Then the last one is the progressively shorter half-life of knowledge creates the need for lifelong learning. People learn and they forget. So it is important that at all times we learn. You know, 21st century skills, one of the skills has to do with lifelong learning. You need to learn. You are taking part in this executive leadership program, so that you always learn, you always be on top of your job. Any question? All right. In the absence of questions, we can carry on. We are asking ourselves, why are many students of today or learners not learning 21st century skills? That is a question we have to ask ourselves. Why are people not, or learners of today, not learning 21st century skills? Anything that is not found in the normal syllabus, teachers will not even bother themselves to teach. Teachers don't go beyond the content. Their interest is in what is written, live and colored in the books they are using. Anything outside the book, they don't know. So they are not able to teach their learners. That is one major reason. 21st century skills cannot be found explicitly in books. If you go and if you bring My World and My People or whatever, OWOP or something, you have something you call OWOP, Our World or something, Our People. You will not find 21st century skills as a topic that will be treated in class. So these are specialized skills that you, the teacher, should be aware of. That is why we are teaching you these things here. They are not in books explicitly or clearly that you can just go and learn. Unit 5. Oh, how to... No, it is not anywhere. But it is one body of knowledge that is trending all over the world today. But it is not explicitly linked in the classroom. So the reason why because of our educational system, because our educational systems are hard to change. We have a lot of professors in Ghana, professors of engineering, professors or whatever. They can't solve problems. That is one problem we have. Look at when COVID struck in Ghana. Look at what happened. We had a lot of scientists, so-called scientists, a lot of medical doctors, and the rest. We have a lot of pharmacists and the rest, professional chemists, experts in the field of pharmacy, and all that. What did they do? So one reason why students are not learning to invest in skills is because of how rigid our education system is. And it is very hard to change. The way we do things, that is the way we will continue to do our things. 10 years to come, 20 years to come. If we continue on that tangent, we will not be able to compete globally. The next one is because the transmission model demands less disciplinary and pedagogical expertise. You know, the system is such that it doesn't require us to teach beyond our ability or to teach beyond what is stated in books. That is the system we are operating in Ghana. Our education system. When we talk about transmission model, we are talking about pedagogy, how we are able to transmit what we know to our learners. It is simple. Nobody checks anybody. So a teacher can teach anything. There is no proper assessment or evaluation mechanism to evaluate what the teacher has taught. That is the problem we are facing in Ghana. So because of that, teachers just teach what they see only. They are not able to even research and come and teach beyond what they are supposed to teach. They will only teach what is there. So if the book is even the same mistake, because they don't know anything beyond what is written in the book. So this method of teaching is one reason why we don't have 21st century learners. That is one reason why students are not interested in, because they are only exposed to the normal way of doing things, the normal way of teaching, the normal knowledge they are always given at school. So these are the two main reasons why learners of today don't have 21st century skills. Any question? Any question? All right, then let's carry on. Now, 21st century skills are complex and cross-disciplinary and are much more demanding to teach and learn than rote memorization-based skills. These skills are not skills you just learn from books and you memorize, and that is what you call rote learning. When we talk about rote learning, chew and poke. So 21st century skills are not skills you can just go and chew and come and poke. It is not examinable. And in school, one thing you have to understand is that in school, we don't teach. You are the teacher. When you go to your classroom, you are going to transform your learners and you are going to impart 21st century skills onto them. One thing you have to bear in mind throughout this model we are learning is that you cannot physically teach the skills we are talking about. The skills cannot be taught in the classroom, but we have a way of teaching 21st century skills. We don't teach them directly. We use the indirect method or the indirect approach in teaching 21st century skills. And I will show you how they are going to be done, or how the skills are going to be imparted onto your learners. All right. Any question? Now let's go to the second reason. That is the second reason why students are not interested in learning 21st century skills. Now, a second barrier to students' development of 21st century skills is that they do not learn them if they are not explicitly taught. You have to understand this. You know, your learners will never learn these skills we are talking about, because at the end of the day, they are not taught, and the skills are not part of the units they are going to learn in their textbooks. So why do you think it will be important to them to learn them? Anything that is, that is our culture, our educational culture. Anything that is not taught clearly, explicitly, nobody takes that serious. So if you have noticed, in schools, students will ask teachers, say, will this also come into our exams? Anything that will not come into their exam, nobody is ready to learn that. So what I'm saying is that 21st century skills, as we are learning, are not part of the syllabus you are using in your school. They are not part, they cannot clearly be seen in the textbooks the students or the learners are using. So this is one reason. Once they are not found in their textbooks, no learner will bother himself or herself to learn these skills. That is one reason why students don't normally learn 21st century skills. Any question?
Hello. Please, I want to find out if the 21st century, those things are not in the book. And we are not teaching it. I don't know how the children are going to get it. So if you can make us to know how we will be able to let them get that 21st century, which is not found in the book or which is not found in our society, how are we going to make the children get it?
All right, very good question. That is the most important thing you have to know in the whole of this model we are doing. How you are able, because after learning, I told you that you are supposed to go and practice. So how are you going to go about it? We will soon come to that, so that you know how, since I told you, you cannot teach, or it is not found in books where you can teach as a teacher. Let's look at the method you will use for your students to be able to still acquire the 21st century skills. We will come to that shortly, please.